So I had to do what I've never done in my life, which is actually learn to go up to someone in a bar.
You've never done that?
That was my first time doing that.
Ooh, oh shit.
For those who are considering going to therapy, definitely take the time to find the one that works for you. My dad in that moment said to me, there is a lot that I have to unlearn, but that is my cross to bear. It's not yours. One of the emergency personnel coming to my twin brother's side, he was on the passenger seat, and they were surprised to see him alive.
Our family was like, no, there is no ebb and flow. You need to come to America and make some fucking money to pay your bills and put food on the table.
I need to learn to really re-engineer the way my brain is wired to handle failure.
Hey leaders, welcome back to the show. We're so glad you're here. My guest today is Adrian Nuño. He is an award-winning storyteller, filmmaker, co-host of the Twin Spin podcast, and he's a senior video editor at Motorola, He's a gay Latino techie too. We actually met in a funny way, We met at Out and Equal. Standing in line, he comes up to me and says, hey, are you that guy on the best man speech in this YouTube video that I did years ago? It turns out I was. We hit it off. This chance encounter really sparked a friendship, and I have since had the privilege of watching his journey and his transformation, all of the change that I have witnessed him go through. And in this episode, Adrian opens up about going to therapy, about coming out to his dad, about how COVID forced him to slow down, and also why rest and play aren't just luxuries anymore. They're actually essential for real creativity. He also shares what it's like being first gen in corporate spaces. My hope is that this story reminds you that transformation doesn't come from pushing harder. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It comes from slowing down, from listening in, and from finding the courage to live and lead with your heart. My hope is that you're going to walk away with a new take on courage and failure. May this conversation give you the permission to trust your timing and to believe in yourself. This show is for anyone in transition, anyone wondering what is next, or you're just longing to live more authentically. So let's dive in. We're here on the show talking with Adrian Nuño today. And we're talking with him because I believe he has a very beautiful story that is relatable to a lot of what everyone else is going through right now. We're all on our journey to try and bring out the best in ourselves, to maximize our potential, to find purpose and peace amidst everything going on. And one of the things I believe we need in order to do that is reflection, to slow down and take a beat and recognize something feels off here. And I have witnessed you be that observer in your own life, and then not just observe it, but actually do something about it. And I think that that is so beautiful. And I was listening to your most recent episode of your podcast, which is called
Twin Spin, yes, of which Julio was our first guest for the new season. So thank you again so much again for coming on the show, man. Really, really appreciate it. And it was such an enlightening episode having you on. So thanks again.
You and your brother, the dynamic and the energy is so wonderful. And one of the things you both were talking about in one of your recent episodes was your lessons in your 20s, one of them being go to therapy. And I'm curious, because there's so much stigma around asking for help and getting help. When was the moment that you finally decided, okay, I actually need to do something? I can't just think about it anymore. I actually need to pull the trigger and go invest in a therapist in this relationship because something is off. Take me there.
That's such a good question. And I can tell you exactly when I knew. If we wind back the tape to 2014, my twin brother and I, we graduated high school. I was the one who decided I was going to go to community college and not go anywhere, stay at home. And it was in the time that both my brothers left home. A lot of my friends who also graduated high school alongside me left home, that so many different emotions just hit me in terms of I did everything right during high school with the intention of going to a 4-year college, and yet I didn't. I just started thinking, like, what did I do wrong? Like, did I screw up? Did I make a mistake? What happened? On top of that, that's when a lot of my mental health stuff started coming in, anxiety, depression. And there was a story that I heard in the weeks before my brothers left, of a kid, also named Adrian, in my town, who went missing. I think it was said that he had a history of mental health issues himself, and then we found out a day or so later that he had unfortunately taken his life. And that really hit me, because the guy was also Latino, literally named Adrian, and hearing his story, hearing what happened with him, I think that was the catalyst of, like, if I don't do something, what if I end up like that? And so I had thought about therapy for a while. I thought about going to therapy for a while, but also, like, at the time, no one else in my family went to therapy.
And they didn't go to therapy because
of the stigma, because of the massive stigma, Julio. I think not just in Mexican culture, but also Latina culture in general, that we don't talk about it.
Sweep it under the rug.
Why be such a downer?
Look the other way.
Exactly. And I withheld from going because I didn't want to deal with the whole list of things that people were going to say about me, until it got to a certain point that, like, I just thought to myself, like, I have to be the catalyst. I have to be the one to start making the change for my family, because I feel like if we keep doing this, it's not going to be good. I will also say, for those who are considering going to therapy, definitely take the time to find the one that works for you. Don't just go to one, and if you're not vibing with that therapist, think this is how therapy is. Like, it takes some time. It took about 3 or 4 tries before I found the one that works for me. And so don't think going to one and just that experience alone is going to be how therapy is for you. And I will say, since seeing that therapist that I stuck with, and then also going to see a psychiatrist and getting medicated, a lot of wonderful things have happened from that. Like, I remember when I was in community college, I was part of an honor society, and I got to help put on an event for mental health, for suicide awareness. My twin brother and I, we did a slam poem video on bullying and suicide awareness. And I remember we showed that video at a mental health session with an organization called National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI for short. And I remember when we screened the video, this one person got up and spoke for the first time, because we found out later from a facilitator that, like, this one person never spoke in any of the sessions, and something about your video got them to speak for the first time. And that's when I realized the power of what content creation can do. And 10 plus years later, now everyone in my family, my immediate family, goes to therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And take me to the moment where you're in therapy and you realize, I need to start engaging with my family about some conversations, and in such a way that would eventually drive them to want to go for themselves. Like, what was the unlock? Them seeing your courage? What was that?
Good question. Yeah. I will say, I think for me, it really started when I started unpacking a lot of things in therapy that I thought were just normal. That was just like, oh, your family doesn't deal with this, or like, oh, this is not supposed to happen. That I realized just how much I was having on my shoulders, how much weight I was keeping on me. And it's a number of different things that I unpacked with them, whether it was the stigma around mental health, machismo, especially the anti-LGBTQ stigma that I carried with me for years, which is why I held off on coming out for a long time. Because all the people that I was curious to come out to, I was definitely most curious about my dad, because my dad was the one who did make like gay jokes growing up. And that stayed with me because I think even at a young age, I knew that I wasn't straight.
Feel it. You feel it. You feel that something is different. You know that something is different.
Yeah, something's different. And I grew up Catholic. I was an altar server. I did religious education. I got confirmed. And so from a young age, Julio, I was like, let the repression begin.
Yes. And even so, like for me, very similar story. When I was in Ecuador, when I would go to the townships of Ecuador, literally stick homes, you would see trans people walking around the street, and they were accepted, but also people made fun of them. Like they were there outwardly doing their thing, but my dad would poke at them or he would say things. And I just, you file that in the back. You're like, that's interesting. That's interesting. And then that starts to shape how you end up showing up in your life. Yeah,
it really does. It really, really does. And so the more I just opened up with my family about like, hey, can we talk about this? I know my mom was willing to have those conversations. My dad, given all that he has with him, I know he was very reluctant. He's the kind of person that like, let's find the quick solution, have it, move on. It wasn't until I encouraged us to have more of the conversations that he actually not just was willing to have the conversations with us, but was also willing to have more of the inner work done with himself. Like I remember vividly in my mind, it was a few years after I came out to him, and our relationship was a bit rocky because he was still feeling the way he felt. And then my twin brother came out. We didn't come out at the same time to our parents. I came out first and he came out years later. I remember my parents were visiting. My twin brother and I, we lived together at the time. And we were just chatting, hanging out. And I just felt this emotion inside of me that like just kept saying, I'm so tired of pretending like everything's okay. I'm so tired of pretending like we're getting along when in reality we're not getting along, because there is one big thing about me that I feel like you're not accepting. This is who I am. That's not going anywhere. So accept it, or there's the door. And I just broke down in front of my dad and I just said, I can't keep doing this anymore. I can't keep moving on like this. And my dad in that moment said to me, there is a lot that I have to unlearn, but that is my cross to bear. It's not yours. And since that moment, as hard as it was, we've come such a long way. He went to his first Pride parade. He's met my partners and met my twin brother's partners. And so I remember when I first heard that he went to the Pride parade, I was with some other folks at the time. I just started crying because I was like, I never thought this day would come. I never thought this would happen. But amazing things can happen when you give the people that you love, even if they don't give you the reaction you're looking for, love in return, in patience, in time.
Yeah. And the capacity for redemption, forgiveness, understanding, and I have realized, as you probably have, is when you do these things, you release and free up. You feel lighter, as young Pueblo likes to say. You free up now energy and space to then move towards more of you. You get to become more of you. You reuse all the energy around the resentment and the frustration and the judgment and the annoyance and the stories in your head. That all of that energy now is freer for you then to use to move your life forward.
Absolutely.
But most of us we hide that, we hold that inside and we don't allow it to come out.
No, we don't.
That's why we're all so stiff, you know?
Seriously. And like, we've gone through a lot of shit in the past several years, you know, like,
yes,
we could go through a long laundry list of a once in a century global pandemic, various political factors, various social factors. And so it's like, well, no wonder we're so stiff, as you put it. Like,
no wonder.
Those of us who are just keeping it inside and think we have it all together. But then when you really start to unpack a lot of stuff, it's like, well, maybe I don't.
Yeah, maybe you don't. And that's okay, because
that's okay. Yeah.
We're all on the journey. And we're all on the journey in our little ways. And what I love about it is that even at your 29, you were talking about, 29 going into 30, and you were thinking your reflections, you created some content around your reflections, around making time to pause and look back. In the reflection is where you can actually find the lesson. And so many of us, particularly in tech, you know this,
yes,
we're moving a million miles an hour. Our OKRs, our goals are intentionally higher than we are able to achieve them in order to push us. And the minute you launch something, you're already working on next year's launch. So there's very little room for reflection. It's always move fast. And I think that's a superior skill to learn. Yeah. And I'm curious, what does that feel like for you? Do you feel like you've always been a reflective person, or did this all emerge from this journey? And what is your relationship to it now?
Yeah, I would say I wasn't always a reflective person. I think the real catalyst for reflection was honestly COVID, because prior to COVID, I mean, I was the kind of person that was just go.
Yeah, me
get
too.
Things done, get things done, get things. Yeah, exactly. You get it.
Can't stop, won't stop.
No, we got places to go, things to get done,
people to see. We got stuff to do.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it was a combination of that's just the mode I always knew, combined with the fact of a few things. One, my parents coming to the United States from Mexico when they were teenagers and hearing about what they went through, the harassment, the bullying, having to learn English with no Duolingo or Rosetta Stone handy.
Yeah. No real-time translation, none of that.
None of that. They had to do it the old-fashioned way. And I wanted to make sure that wasn't done in vain, that they've given me this opportunity to really make something of myself, live a great life. And I don't want to, put just like trample that.
Honor that.
Exactly. Honor that. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. Honor that. But also about 10 plus years ago, my brothers and I, we were in a really bad car accident. And I remember, one of the emergency personnel coming to my twin brother's side. He was on the passenger seat, and they were surprised to see him alive.
Wow.
Because they were like, oh, normally when this kind of accident happened, because like we were T-boned, a van was coming at us at 60 miles per hour. And they're like, normally that person at the impact zone would be dead.
Wow.
And so living through that experience, realizing our life could have ended that day, but we're still here for a reason. We still get to live another day. It really taught us to have a greater appreciation for life. But at the same time, I feel like we had the idea of like, we have to make the most of every single moment and like not stop, won't stop, got to keep going because, we're making the most of every second. And it wasn't until COVID happened where we got the time to ourselves to sit down and reflect some more that we realized, we were making strides in so many areas. We were neglecting a lot of other areas, namely relationships, friends, family. Because for me, I was just like, I got to make the most of every moment to get to where I want to go.
Right.
And I think...
But your family wasn't in that it wasn't in that wasn't part of the equation. Those were separate things in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Like I will see them when I can, but aside from that, like I have the end goal to where I have
Same.
to be, you know? And on
Yeah.
top of that, around when COVID started, like I was like a year in to my tech job at a Fortune 500 company, Motorola Solutions. I was really into the thrust of a web series that I was working on that took 3.5 years to produce. Uh, so many different things were going on,
Mm.
but it was COVID that made me think maybe this isn't what it should be about. Maybe I've been going about it wrong this entire time. I invested in coaches, like mindset coaches, life coaches, business coaches, did a lot of different exercises on a lot of different things. And from that, Andrew and I took a 2-year break from filmmaking. And I was terrified to do that because I know a lot of friends who took the same break and never came back.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a real risk. That's real. I
Uh-huh.
love that you went there though, because that is something that lingers in the back of people's minds, which is, if I do take a break, then what? What if I never come back? What
Yeah.
happens what becomes of me and
Mm-hmm.
what I had?
Yeah. Exactly. And so we were definitely scared, but we also knew that like it's for the best because as much as we enjoyed making the web series for 3.5 years, we were creatively fulfilled, but mentally, emotionally exhausted. And so we took the break. And throughout that time off, where we thought we may not come back to filmmaking, where we thought, okay, we're putting that behind us. On the contrary, we found a lot of inspiration. We found a lot of creative ideas. We got to spend more time with friends and family again. We got to have like a lot of things happen where we got to just create for fun and not worry about the end result or the metrics with it and all of that. Like life felt fun. Life felt, like brand new and exciting for years that it didn't because we were just had our heads down, tunnel vision, and all of that.
And that is the essential ingredient. I love the fun, play, fun, inviting and allowing that. That's really a very tangible takeaway for someone who's listening as you think about your long walk on this journey of self-development, of personal and professional growth, which is how do you learn to make the experience fun? How can you in the moment think, how can I make this 10% more fun, more enjoyable, more pleasure? For me, behind me is a piano. It's a great example of this. When I was a kid, I was going through my old photos, looking through all my photos, putting together an album, kind of put together like a photo wall for my mom. She's turning 60. And I saw this photo of me at 10 years old behind a keyboard in my bedroom. I had this Casio keyboard I bought from the Price Club, which was, Costco now, but back then it was called Price Club. But I never played it. I had it in my room. I would dust it every week. I would sit in front of it. I would turn it on. I would look at it, but I never played it. And when I see those photos and I look, I bring to bear that version of me, that part of me. I was scared because I was worried about what people would think, if it would be good. And, what if my dad makes fun of me? What if my mom makes fun of me? And in this transition, this chrysalis where we're going through this metamorphosis and growing into ourselves, you, me, I realized that I just started watching YouTube videos and playing with a keyboard and realized, oh my gosh, I have an inclination for this. I love this. It's percussion. It's using energy to take people high and low and different medleys. And it's evocative. It brings the emotion out. And I've started to like really double down on just playing. And then I said, one day I was like, I watched a Billy Joel documentary and I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I was so inspired by the HBO documentary. I'm going to go fucking on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, and find this used piano. I found one. I put it together. I've been playing every day. I love it. And it just is a daily reminder for me at this stage in my life of how important play is in our lives, because play actually is a regenerative source of energy for you to, like you said, be creative, be successful, accomplish more with some joy and some ease. And when we're so constricted and tight and I got to do this, I got to do that, it doesn't allow us the room to play. We've sort of lost that and stripped it away.
Absolutely. It took a long time for me to realize and acknowledge how crucial and essential rest and play is for the creative process.
Yeah, totally. Right? It's
Right.
paramount. I would even go as far as to say, it's paramount. And then on top of that, the more that you push it, the bigger the resistance. So I'm sitting and it's like, listen, you need to take a pause. You need to step up. You need to go for a walk, write a journal, go here, go. You need to be in the flow of that as opposed to resisting it and pushing against it. And that is such an essential lesson for anyone listening who's on the journey is the flow, the ebb and flow of it all, we were not taught that because our family was like, no, there is no ebb and flow. You need to come to America and make some fucking money to pay your bills and put food on the table and clothes on the back and like pay for gas,
Yeah. We were taught a lot of like survival instincts, a lot of like this is how we live. We are in survival mode, but to actually live and have fun and actually pursue things that you feel called to do yourself, not because you have to, but because you want to do this.
Yeah.
That's where there's a bit of misalignment with all of that. And so, like the Adrian now is so vastly different than the Adrian before COVID. As much as I still love, of course, making videos and doing the podcast and the production company and all of that, I also learn the importance of not forcing creativity. If there's a day where I had scheduled on my calendar and I'm just not feeling it, the juices are not flowing.
Yeah, that's
put the laptop down, go outside, make a plan with a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that can be hard.
That can be hard.
Yeah.
And then there's also, I will say to do the counterpoint.
Yeah.
There's also, you can live in that space for too long and then not do anything, and I've struggled with this. The podcast was years in the making. I thought about it. And then I would sit in front of the mic and draw a blank. And then at some point I had to cut the cord and just start. And so I had to, that's where mindful awareness comes in, being able to sit in the state of present awareness to recognize, do I need a break? Does my body and my spirit actually need a break? If so, yes. How do I honor that? Or is this an avoidance mechanism? Am I delaying it? Am I avoiding feeling something and therefore using this as an excuse? And I need to be able to discern between the two, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I resonate with all of that. I reflect a lot more now, at least like once a week. I will sit down and go over what it is I have to do for the week. How is that supporting the bigger picture? And I realized through a lot of reflecting recently that I was so much more about the speed of what I had to do versus the direction. And just like what you're doing is still getting you to where you want to go.
That's big.
Don't be so concerned with how fast it will take you to get there, because as long as you stay the path, you will get there. Just keep going and trust in life's perfect timing. What is for you will not miss you.
Okay, but how have you learned to find the balance here? Because what is for you will come to you. Learning to trust. It's easy to say that, but then what happens when life hits you in the face? Like, give me an example of something in your recent, a recent challenge you've been through where you've had to actually tactically navigate that. What is working for you?
That's a really good question. I can actually give you one right off the top of my head that I think of, because when we came back from our 2-year break from filmmaking, we had a completely different script that we wanted to produce. But we did several drafts of the script, and Andrew, my twin brother, and I were just like, we're not vibing with this. This is not coming out the way we want it to. We think this is better off as a feature film script. So we put that to the side, and we worked on another project with a friend of ours who we did a few projects with. But then there was a lot of things coming up on their side of the aisle that they had to attend to. On top of that, they were also planning for a wedding. So then we found ourselves, for the third time in a year, going back to the drawing board with no idea of what we wanted to do for the next project. And we were really frustrated. We were just like, we've never had this much resistance to the creative process, because twice now we've tried to do something and it fell apart. And we found in time that we were just being redirected to the project that was meant for us to tackle next. And we thought about what our 2-year break from filmmaking taught us.
Wow.
About the line that we often toe between our personal lives and our professional lives, our goals, our aspirations, our dreams, and then the people in our lives that I would argue make life worth living for. And that's what led my twin and I to then write the short film Final Frame. And then from there, everything just felt a lot more aligned. Everything felt a lot more exciting. This story really felt like we were called to make this story next. And then we raised $20,000+ We filmed it last year in September, in November. And just now, actually, we finished the project and sending it out to festivals and doing screenings.
Wow. Yay. Congrats. Give us a sample of the premise. Give us the synopsis of what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of going off that idea of, the tug and pull of our personal and professional lives, the premise of Final Frame centers on a video editor who is at a crossroads in his life when he has to decide between turning in a project on time that could change the trajectory of his career on the same day that his partner of many years is going in for a surgery that could potentially save his life or end his life. Like, the decision to end all decisions, what do you do?
Wow.
Yeah.
And what motivated you to pursue this project was?
What motivated me to pursue this project was the lessons I learned from my 2 years off from filmmaking. As much as it's great to have ambitions, hopes, dreams, all of that, I find it just as important, if not more important, to not neglect the people that have been with you, some since the beginning of your existence, some that you've made friends with in the past 10 years, people who have seen you through every single chapter of your life and have been there to support you, who have been there to comfort you, who have been there for the good, the bad, the ugly, and that you don't want to neglect that. You don't want to forget that. You don't want to just toss that to the side. When you get older, and you're in your later years, I know I will treasure more the memories with friends and family than I will about content creation in video. I love doing that for sure, but I've learned to really value more the relationships in my life. And that's what fed the passion and the grit to make this story, even on the days when we didn't know how we were going to make our day, and we had very long filming days going until 11 o'clock at night, or long editing nights going until 1 or 2 in the morning. It's because you just know this message will resonate with so many people,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from the feedback we've gotten so far, like it's fortunately done so. And so I'm just excited to get this out to more people, and
Yeah.
especially those who can relate to the tug and pull of what I went through these past few years from taking a break, and just like our protagonist Carlos does in the film.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to see it, and whoever's listening to experience the story. I know this has meant a lot to you. I know you put a lot of work into this. And I particularly love how this is an example for somebody who, you work in tech, you're in a busy job, and on the side, you are pursuing a passion through raising the money, doing the script, bringing people together. I saw the videos of how this all came to be. And really, it is a reminder to people that you are bigger than your job, that your work and what you're doing here, your skill, maybe you're using that skill at work, in your case, video work at your job, but also outside of your job, you're using your talents, your gifts, what you have come here to do and to offer, and combining that in service to a message to help enlighten, help other people. And that's a beautiful thing. And that can happen because right now we have a lot of people in tech who are so focused on work, and it's very myopic that they don't realize that it's actually, the apertures is now shifting over the next 10 years. We're bigger than just the job title or the desk or the OKRs or whatever's tagged in my name on that column in that spreadsheet. It's actually bigger than that. And you're modeling that with this project. So I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm really happy you brought all that up just now, because at the end of the day, despite the tech job, despite the production company, I really feel like called to and think of often like my mission, what it is I feel called to do, what it is that I'm passionate about. And at the end of the day, I'm passionate about making change, igniting conversations, helping people be seen, heard, valued. Even at Motorola Solutions, I was co-president of our LGBTQ plus ERG. At Motorola Solutions, they're called business councils. And I was co-president for about 3 years.
I'm glad you went there because there are a lot of people who will listen to this who are ERG leaders. You've done this, or you did that for years.
Yeah, I know the time that I served as co-president of that ERG is vastly different to the landscape that ERG leaders are serving in today. But with that being said, the one thing that really helped me a lot with my time as co-president was just listening to the needs of the LGBTQ plus community at work, but also allies as well. Because as much as we also served, our community, we also had a lot of allies reach out to us and say like, hey, I have a coworker coming out as transgender and they're transitioning. How can I be supportive of them? Or I have a kid who just came out and I want to figure out how to be a better parent for them, And it was really touching to get those messages and be for them what I wish someone was for me when I first came out. And I didn't really have a lot of the resources that these folks do, whether they're supporting someone that's coming out or even someone's coming out themselves and they joined our community. And so I'd say listening and responding with empathy.
Beautiful. Listening and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially with allies as well. That really resonates with me, because there is sometimes an energy of, I need to put my warrior suit on and go fight the good fight, and it's like, yes, but maybe this is a different fight. Where this is an emotional war. This is not, we have to figure out how we come prepared for that kind of back and forth. And you do it not with weapons, you do it with, and sharp cutting words and politicking and undercutting and so forth. Let me reply all and throw somebody under the bus. I mean, sometimes I would do things like that because I wanted to show how powerful I am. I know more than you. And then we'd go back and forth in this exchange. And I knew other people were, sometimes I would, so listening and empathy is not the silver bullet, but they are essential ingredients, particularly right now in these times, for sure.
100%. And I would also encourage ERG leaders to figure out ways to hold space for your community. One of the ways that we did that during my time as co-president is that we would do these coffee talks where like every month or so for an hour or so, like we'll have everyone join the call. We'll let everyone know these calls are not being recorded. We will start with an opening prompt, share some thoughts, and then we will just stand back and just let whoever wants to talk next raise their hand, have them unmute their mic, and speak. And the first few times we did this, there was a lot of silence. A lot of silence. But the more we did it, the more people started unmuting themselves and raising their hand.
Yeah.
And what you would hear from these people that spoke, Julio, is some of the most raw, authentic, touching stories I've ever heard. You hear the lump in their throat, you hear the emotion, you hear them just putting their soul out there. And there were many times where I was on the brink of tears or I just cried because you just really hear them leaning into their courage, leaning into their heart, and want to share that message, sharing their successes, their quote unquote failures, their struggles, and in that messiness, quote unquote, that people were unveiling before us, I feel like that's where we really found community in sharing those kinds of things.
That's right. That's right. And what is so special about that example is it's not about fixing. It's not about solving. It's not about having the right answer to everything. It's space holding. And we're not taught to hold space because oftentimes silence and space can, the thought, our ego and our mind starts to throw in all these thoughts. What about this? What are they going to think of this? All these different things. And we feel like we need to close the space as opposed to just letting it breathe and giving people an opportunity to witness a testimony, and that's really what you're doing through your storytelling. I'm certainly doing through this podcast, through these conversations. Braving Big Tech was a testimony of being able to bear witness to the real, raw, unfiltered truth of what actually happens when you are not paying attention to your life. And when you're acting a fool, thinking you know all the answers to everything and you're in charge and you got it all figured out, but you don't. And then you don't get the lesson, you get punched in the teeth. You get new teeth, you get punched in the teeth again. It just keeps happening until you get the lesson. And that was so vivid for me 4 times in a row, all of these big breakups, tragic breakups, violent breakups, really just emotionally, humiliating and denigrating, and then having to figure out how do you build back from that. And actually, this is just coming to me now, but there was also another video you recently did about failure. And I had an aha listening to you because I have struggled with sharing my story. Even saying the word fired is triggering for people. Fired, shame, burnout. So people run. They see fired and they run the other way. But the truth is people are getting fucking fired all the time. It's happening every day, all day. They're laid off, they're fired, they're whatever. People spin it. I see people spin it all the time to try and label it in such a way that they can keep those emotions in the door and not have to receive it. But whatever it is, it's a rejection. Right. And there was a long time where I thought about it from the side of the fence of, I'm a fuck up. Hey, I got fired 4 times in a row. And now, as I have wrapped words around that story and started to use it and learn it and grow from it, I'm on a different side of the fence, which connects to your video, which was, wait a minute, that's how this works. This is working as intended. I grew from those experiences and now I am stronger. The grass is greener and I am better for it. And I can honor that part of my story, and that comes with me. And it is no longer an open wound that keeps bleeding, but it actually has now morphed into something, a part of who I am. And it's now made me stronger and more resilient and more capable. And it took me a while to get there, but hearing your video and the way you articulated your own journey with it brought me to that. So I'm curious what resonates for you hearing this.
I mean, thank you for sharing that first and foremost. I think what you just shared yourself was so beautifully said. Yeah, I mean, growing up, especially, like, it was instilled in my head that failure was just such a bad thing. Do everything you can to avoid failure.
Yeah. Don't you fuck up, you get the chancla.
The chancla, whatever the case. Like, But the more I did that, the more I realized, like, what is that really teaching me, though? Like, I need to learn to really re-engineer the way my brain is wired to handle failure.
Oof. Whoa. Right? That's a big, say that again.
Yeah. I said that I really needed to re-engineer my brain on how it sees failure.
Yeah.
And that very often our minds imagine the absolute worst case scenario of what happens if you fail. Like the worst thing's going to happen to you in your life. And then you actually fail. And then you're like, this actually wasn't so bad. That wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Like, this year I have done a lot more things that scare me than I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Like one example recently is
That's
like
big.
Yeah. And like,
we applaud that.
Thank you. And you know, I'm bringing up examples that are not just like in like the work environment, you know, like say you're at a karaoke bar, go up and sing a song.
Yeah, go sing a song.
Go sing a song.
Go be talking to some cute boy at the bar. Be like, hey,
exactly.
What's your name? Where you from?
I meant that. Yes. And I went up there not just once.
Listen, that's a real thing. Bitches, more people need to be doing that. They need to be going up randomly and saying hi, even if you get rejected. So what? You feel a little tingly? Take a breath and you're through it. You go to the next one.
Exactly. You know, whether it's singing a karaoke song, I did 2 songs that night, not just one. And I even had a friend.
Which songs did you do?
Absolutely. I did Red Wine Supernova by Chappell Roan.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
That's hard.
And then Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne.
Those are not easy songs.
No. And I remember they were both, well, one was with a friend who kind of felt shy by going up by themselves. And I was like, I'll go up with you then. Yeah.
Great.
Let's do it. And then the other one was with my future sibling-in-law. And like they were both songs that, like, looking at the crowd, it was very like LGBTQ plus, and it's like, oh, I know exactly what we'll play to them. And like this was also a very
what we'll play to them. Okay.
And like these
you're paying attention to what resonates.
Exactly. And this is the crowd that will sing the songs with you as well.
With you.
They want to see you do well. They want to see you have fun. You know?
Yeah.
Have fun, let loose, be you, you know?
Yeah. And by the way, they want to see you have fun. The people who matter want to see you have fun.
Exactly. The people who matter. I'm so happy
Connecting
you
to
said
what you
that.
were saying earlier. We're so busy, we avoid the very people in our life who are going to give us the energy and the affirmation and the encouragement and the nourishment to remind ourselves that we are on the right path. But we remove those people, and then the work to do is to recognize, wait a minute, I got to bring those people back because they are the ones who are clarifying for me where I'm going. I'm headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And then alluding to what you said earlier about my video on failure, because if I'm thinking of the right one that you watched, it was when I was in DC for World Pride. And I was so reliant on the dating apps to meet people. And one day during the parade, self-service was just completely overwhelmed and my phone was just useless.
Oh, wow.
So I had to do what I've never done in my life, which is actually learn to go up to someone in a bar.
You've never done that?
Yeah.
So that was your first experience?
That was my first time doing that.
Ooh, oh, shit. Okay, hang on. Take us there. What's the bar? Are you by yourself? Are you talking this through? Are you strategizing with your friend and then you go up, or you just do it? Are you thinking about it, or you just take us there?
Yeah.
Because by the way, there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this and they're right at that moment. They're going to a happy hour tonight and they know that they want to talk to somebody, but they're worried, and you're going to tell them how to do it.
I will say, like, I remember seeing the guy and the initial flood of thoughts overwhelming me of like, what are you going to say? Should I go up there? Should I not go up there? What if you run out of things to talk about? It's going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be too quiet. I don't know. Like, just like that train of thought, just like nonstop. And at some point, Julio, I just learned to just shut that out and just be like, you're also at World Pride in DC, a town you do not live in. This is likely the only time you're ever going to see this person. Yeah. So if it doesn't go well, you're not going to see them again. This is like the time to do it. So do it. And I remember walking over to them.
Good for you.
The thoughts increase in volume
as you're walking.
As I'm walking over.
Oh, wow.
I get sweaty. My heart is pounding. And I'm just like, I'm really doing this. I'm really, okay. All right, let's go.
Dude, it's happening. We're doing it.
And I just went up to that guy and I just said, you know, how's your World Pride going so far? And they gave me their answer of how it was going so far and told me some things they were doing. And I was like, oh, tell me about that. You know, what restaurant was that? Or what bar was that? Like, what's the environment like? You know? And I remember it didn't go anywhere further than just conversation.
And that's okay.
And that is okay. And when he walked away, I thought to myself the very thing I said earlier, which is like, that wasn't bad at all. Like, the world didn't end. I'm still here. You know?
Exactly. And all of those moments where I have had the courage to just randomly go up and talk to someone and you make a connection, there's this feeling that you get. It's kind of like Avatar and those things clicking when it does work. It's like, wow, you feel this sense of connection to this person, even if it's not, you know, okay, we're going on a date. It's just, you're just meeting someone. I set the bar at, I'm just saying hi. I'm connecting. Every person I see is an opportunity to say hello and to make a friend and connection. I'm not saying it has to go 0 to 60 within the first 3 minutes, you know, but maybe we just establish a connection and then you feel these tinglies and you realize like, that's what makes us uniquely human. That's human power. That's unlimited potential and the power of your heart and our abilities to vibrationally connect to another human being. Like when you feel that shit and you remember that shit, you also remember when it doesn't work out and it's a little awkward, and that's okay too, because I feel like the high, and then also the low, like, it's like, oh, it's like a gut punch, but then you breathe, you experience the emotion, you relax and you lean away and it moves through you and you're fine. Like
absolutely. You said. And especially what you said about connection right there, I'm reminded actually of something that Eduardo Placer said.
Ah, yes.
And the quote, the first time he said it, it has never left my brain, which is, don't strive for perfection, strive for connection. That's all we're looking for at the end of the day.
Don't strive for perfection, strive for connection. I agree. That principle really stuck with me as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like, especially in a day where it feels like so many things are curated, so many things are perfected, I think people just strive to see someone authentic
Yeah.
someone human, someone
Yeah.
you can relate to, you know?
That's right.
I feel like that's become a bit more scarce. And so when you do see someone like that, you want to hold on to that as much as you can.
Not only that, you can feel it. You know it. You know it when you see it. You know it when you feel it. When someone is present and they look you in the eye and they are with you and they are here with you now. You know, they're not looking past you at other cuties or looking left or looking right or on the phone. There's this one guy I love to death. He's in San Francisco, but every time we go for drinks, he's on his phone. And I'm like, hello, we're not going for drinks anymore if you're still on your phone. Like, this time is valuable to me. Get off your phone and be present, be here. What are you doing? Scroll, you know? And so it has wired, that has conditioned us a bit. And I think in an AI world, in a post-AGI world, the next 10, 20 years, real authenticity will become the most important, because now you're going to be able to sniff that out amongst a sea of AI generated content and strategies, frankly, because I know it can spit out a strategy quickly. People execute and you're like, how much of that is infused with real human attunement and discernment versus I've just let a robot deliver this to me and I'm executing it against it. People are going to feel that, I believe.
Right. The more you can just be authentically who you are, the more people will connect with that.
Okay, so another thing I want to bring up and I want to talk about, which is really relevant right now, is that there's a lot of first generation corporate Latine leaders right now trying to climb the ladder, trying to get financial security, trying to build expertise, trying to build their brand and grow their careers and be really successful entrepreneurs. And I feel like there's an opportunity here to share some reflections for them. I feel like they don't always get access with that immigrant mentality of just hustle, just make it work, survive, get in there, go, do it, prove yourself, take on every project, say yes to everything. You know, it weighs us down. And I honestly, I have to tell you that I don't know that happens for, as many of my straight, privileged, white male friends or female friends, for example. Like, my best friend is a straight white dude, very smart, Stanford, first in his class. But the way he's able to regulate his emotions and the way he's able to not let it get the best of him, or say, if he says yes, he says no to one thing. It's just very rational and logical and balanced. And knowing him since, high school, I know his family and his upbringing, which was very, they were both PhDs and very structured and And I was always like, this was not my upbringing. Okay. We were throwing shit at each other. We were yelling at each other. We were fucking struggling to make ends meet. Like, I mean, this was a totally different environment. But we're not alone. So many of us come from whatever variation of that is. We bring that into the workplace. And so I'm curious, for someone who's listening to this and is first gen Latina and they're trying to figure any first gen in the corporate space, who's on their journey as you are there any unique, specific perspectives or things that you'd like to share around that perspective in particular that you think maybe isn't as visible in what we're, self-help material?
Yeah, like you said, Julio, I'm first generation. My parents didn't go to a 4-year college, and I will say a lot of what helped me with what I did today is that a lot of my college journey, the skills that I learned from my college journey, I brought into the corporate world. Like when I went to DePaul University, I couldn't afford to live on campus, so I had to take an 1.5-hour train from the suburbs to the city, do the 20, 30-minute walk to campus, do classes. But even after I was done with the classes, I still had an on-campus job. So I'd work that job 6 to 9 p.m. and then do the 20-minute walk, but I would speed walk it and make it a 15-minute walk to catch the last train back to the suburbs. Get home at 11 o'clock, do whatever homework you have to do. Maybe stay up late till 1 or 2 in the morning doing homework. Get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock the next morning, do it all over again. And so I learned a lot about time management, persistence, even when you have so many things stacked against you. And then also networking, going to job fairs, going to on-campus events. Even though I didn't live on campus, I still made my best effort to go to a lot of like creative events, filmmaking events, meet other people.
Do you feel different at work? Do you feel like you belong? Do you feel like you struggle with belonging at work, being Latin in a corporate space, or no?
I definitely did at first.
You did at first.
I definitely did at first.
Okay.
Because,
I did too, but I didn't know how to label it. I didn't know what it was, but something felt off.
Yeah, something felt off. And you just feel like you're not worthy of being here because you're around people who have backgrounds that are far better than yours. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't.
They come from a legacy, the colleges, their parents,
the legacy,
whatever.
The 4.0 GPAs. And like, I wasn't a bad student, but I wasn't a great student in college or high school. And so to be in these spaces at first, kind of like what you said, Julio, like I did feel like I felt the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Big time. But the more I leaned into my expertise of like, I've done video for 10 plus years. I know the ins and outs of this, I think, better than most people here because I do it. I do it all the time. And so I know editing software. I know the cameras. I know the process. I know all of that, you know, and like you're here because you do know this so well. You know, you do know communication so well. And like, even when I first joined Motorola, my job that I have today didn't exist yet. A senior video editor position didn't exist.
Wow.
But whenever someone asked for help with video,
you were there.
I raised my hand.
Adding value.
I was like, I'll help with that. Do you need me to film it? Need me to edit it? Need me to do both? There. I will do it. And I helped with our ERGs making videos. I helped with organizations even outside of what I was brought in to help with their videos. And then COVID happened and video content soared.
Blew up. Wow. Well, that's a beautiful example.
Yeah.
I heard you say I had to pause and reaffirm myself, self-affirmation, self-love. Hey, remember, you know how to do this work. Not only do you know how to do this work, but you can do it well. You've done it plenty and so on and so forth. So that is a tangible skill for leaders listening. Like there 100%. You do, and that connects to something you said earlier, which is having this sort of weekly one-on-one, this weekly check-in with yourself. In that check-in, making sure there's affirming energy. It's less of a critic and more of a coach. That's how I think about it. Are you being a critic or a coach? And what you've just articulated is the importance of being the coach, not the critic. And then also service. How do you make sure that in all the moves that you make and all the contributions that you bring to the table, you're doing it in service of others? That was not in your job description to go and help the video, but you were doing it, you were going above and beyond, and you were doing it. And by virtue of doing that and putting that out there and people feeling the earnest nature of that, COVID hits. How are you going to know? And boom, all of a sudden you've now created a role for yourself, being in alignment with what it is that you were doing on the side, just out of the goodness of your heart. That is powerful.
Thank you. Yeah. Because sure enough, during COVID, and the more I did videos, my manager one day just says to me, like, do you just want to do video full time? And I was like, yes. Like,
that's amazing.
This is the moment that I was so excited to have happen. And
that's a beautiful story.
Thank you. And I will also add that another big thing that helps so much with starting your footprint, with your personal brand, with your career, is attitude. Knowing there is an obstacle before you and not thinking of all the problems with it, but thinking of solutions. Thinking, how can we work around this? Because your boss or your coworker that you're working on this with, they know the problems. That's why they're coming to you. Like, they want to see what you can bring to the table, how you can fix this. Like, they know your expertise. They know your skill set. They know you can be the one to help with this.
And that is critical. That is critical how you see it. You can see it as glass half empty or glass half full. And it is when you're receiving it is how do you move it towards, okay, it's here for me and present for me because they need my support, versus let me complain and think about all the things we can, let me throw up all the excuses for why we can't do something.
Yeah, exactly. And like the more you can bring those solutions to other people, not just the solutions, but the attitude, the more people remember that. I had someone say to me once, in your professional career, it's not just who you know, but also who knows you. Because there are so many instances where someone reached out to me, someone who I've never met before. And I'm just like, just wondering like who referred you my way. And then they would say someone's name. I'm like, oh yeah, I helped so-and-so with this and that, you know? And so you never know who's throwing your name out
and
there.
It's not only who knows you, it's who those people who do know you, what are they saying about you when you're not in the room? Yeah. And the chances of them saying something good is higher when you're doing stuff out of the goodness of your heart in service of someone else, the community, trying to support and add value. And that's an energy you have always brought. I feel this earnestness, this warm, soft, big, brave heart in you that wants to be generous and share that. And that is so special and beautiful. And that is exactly why you have landed yourself in this role. I did not know that, but that is actually very important for me in this conversation, because there's also a lot of people listening who are they're here, but they're trying to get here for the job. And they're trying to figure out, how do I get from here to here? And sometimes the way that you do that is not so linear. It's not a ladder that you're climbing up necessarily. You know, maybe it happens in a side opportunity, kind of like what you just described, where you're doing this and then eventually it turns into something. In fact, that's what has also happened to me. All of the best opportunities, I feel, are a function of that. But if you are so myopically focused on the next thing, you miss the probability, you lower the probability for those things to happen.
100%. And I'm really happy you said that, because while it is important to not lose sight of the end goal, be flexible with how you get there. Because you could have the grandest plan in the world, and then something happens, a reorganization structure at the company, right, or you name it. Yep. Nothing ever goes according to plan.
No.
Ever. So just go with the flow, see where it takes you, because no matter what happens next, it can still be a lesson to take with you as you head towards the destination.
Okay, well, here we go. Lightning round.
Okay.
Right now, I want you to finish the sentence. Right now, courage to me feels like
a leap of faith, trusting that no matter what happens, it'll work itself out. You can figure out whatever it is that you need to figure out. Like, you're capable of handling whatever comes next.
Okay, I love that.
Thank you.
A recent interaction that gives me hope is?
Oh, man. I would say I had a chat with my friend Dylan last night. He was here in my apartment, and then we went to do some salsa dancing by the lake. Yeah, that was a lot.
I'm going to sign up for class too.
Oh, very nice. Sign up
for class.
Yeah, one of my friends, Pedro,
you can do it.
Yeah, he hosts salsa dancing by the lake every Wednesday night. And so we dance our asses off like crazy. But in between getting there and coming back, my friend Dylan and I love hanging out with him, because we have the most deep conversations about where we are in life, what we're happy about, what we're not happy about, and then just like looking ahead, what we look forward to. And I'm always so grateful for his friendship, because he was one of my earliest believers in my creative path. Like, even when we did speech and debate together in college, he was the one person who believed that I could win first place at nationals, and I did. And he was like, I told you it was going to happen. I told you. And so
Wow.
I love him so much. And I know whenever I hang out with him, I come away better for it.
Yes, for those friends. Shout out to Dylan.
Hell yes. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to Dylan if
Shout
you're
out to
listening.
Dylan.
Love you, friend, and so happy to have you in my life.
Those friends are, it only takes one. You know, Gaga says this. It only takes one person to believe in you the way Dylan believes in you. And when that happens, you become unstoppable. I love that.
Thank you.
Last one on the lightning round is,
all right,
one thing I'm appreciating most about myself lately is
my ability to listen. And I say that because I feel like so often we listen to respond and not listen to actually take in what the person is saying. And I feel like, especially in conversations that I have, I really try to listen to what everyone is saying, and just like show like nonverbal, show that I'm really ingesting what the person is saying to me. And I wasn't always good at that, but especially in recent years, I've learned to really listen to actually understand what the person is saying to me, and not feel like, oh, I have to like jab in and interrupt with something, or like, oh, this, oh, that, like, and I've had a lot of people tell me that like they just appreciate that I can be that space for them to just tell me what's going on, you know. And if you want advice, I will give it. But if you just want an ear to rant to, I will happily be that as well. Yeah. So
that is beautiful. And I love that you shared that, because I believe listening, I too have been on a journey to become a deeper, richer, more present, more aware listener. That is the cornerstone of great coaching. I believe also of great leadership, really, is your ability to listen. It is not something we're taught. It is not naturally easy, but that practice is beautiful. And I can feel that. I felt that in this conversation. I felt that you were really here, and actually your presence helps me be more present and comfortable too.
Likewise, friend.
Which I think is, this is a differentiator in the podcast space. If you're present and you can be here, a powerful conversation can happen. If you are distant and you are trying to optimize for an algorithm, you can risk losing yourself in it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spending the time here and sharing your story. I think there's a lot of people who are going to learn from you. And I love that we get to witness each other. Here we are, first gen Latinas in tech, doing our thing, been through a lot, finding ourselves, stepping into our power, and then using that to make our mark on the world. Okay.
100%, baby. Yes.
Actually, recently, the algorithm has spiked my best man speech. So I've gotten another 50,000 views. And it's just so that is such a beautiful reminder. Every time I feel a little bit down, God, universe, divine intelligence just nudges me a little bit and says, I need to remind you of the power of your authenticity via this YouTube video, the best man speech that I put on YouTube. Some of y'all know. Yes. And you coming to me at that conference and engaging with me because of that YouTube video is the reason why I am doing this now. So thank you.
Wow. I love that. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on as a guest. And thank you for being the bright light that you are in this time, not just for tech, but I feel in general, I'm so happy that our paths crossed, and I look forward to seeing our friendship continue to blossom in the years ahead.
All right, y'all, that's it for today's episode. Now listen, if you were moved by something today, then good. It means it's working. That's progress. Shoot me a note and tell me. I want to hear about it. You can DM me online. hello@letsgowithjulio.com is my email. You can visit me at letsgowithjulio.com. I see you, and I know you're trying, and we're going to make change, all of us, one brave leader at a time. The Let's Go with Julio show is produced and edited by Ricky Gunton, and our theme song is You Are the One by Nick Deutsch. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend or two who could benefit. You know who they are, baby. I see you. I love you. Let's go, baby.